What happens when a nation stops believing in itself? The 1970s in America were not about dreams. They were about doubt, crisis, and collapse. The 1960s ended with hope. But the 1970s began with something very different. Protests turned into tragedy. War turned into defeat. And trust turned into suspicion. This was the decade when America changed. Not with optimism, but with disillusionment. Part 1. The War Comes Home. In 1970, the war followed students back to campus. At Kent State shootings, National Guardsmen opened fire on unarmed protesters. 4 students were killed. For many Americans, this was the moment everything broke. The war was no longer far away. It was here. Part 2. Vietnam Collapse. For years, America had fought in the Vietnam War, believing it could not lose. But in 1975, that illusion shattered. At the fall of Saigon, helicopters lifted the last Americans off rooftops as chaos unfolded below. It wasn't just a military defeat. It was a psychological one. Part 3. The system breaks. Then came the scandal that changed everything. The Watergate scandal exposed corruption at the highest level of power. President Richard Nixon resigned for the first time in history. Americans had trusted their leaders. Now, they didn't. Part 4. Economic shock. At the same time, the economy began to collapse. The 1973 oil crisis left Americans waiting in long lines for gasoline. Prices surged. Jobs disappeared. A new word entered everyday life. Stagflation. An economy that wasn't growing, but was getting worse. Part 5. A divided society. America was no longer united. Court decisions like Roe v. Wade divided the nation over values and morality. Cities like New York City faced near bankruptcy. Crime rose, fear spread. The American dream began to feel out of reach. Part 6. Fear of the future. By the end of the decade, fear replaced hope. The 3 Mile Island accident raised questions about technology and safety, and the Iran hostage crisis showed a weakened America on the global stage. The 1970s didn't begin with a single moment, and they didn't end with one either. But by the time they were over, America was no longer the same country. The confidence of the past was gone, replaced by doubt, by division, by a search for something new. Because sometimes, before a nation can rebuild, it has to fall apart.